the COVID-19 pandemic, the Biden administration, through the Department of Labor and OSHA, made requirements that people who wanted to work had to get the COVID-19 vaccine, which at the time was still experimental. If workers didn't want to get the vaccine, they could submit to invasive testing and wear masks. The mandate applied to all firms with more than 100 employees. Tons of businesses, individuals, groups, and states filed suit. The plaintiffs were represented by the National Federation of Independent Business. The main problem is that OSHA went way beyond its legislated powers. This wasn't just a case of occupational safety, it was a case of public health. And if OSHA could mandate something that's an issue everywhere just because it also happens to be an issue in the workplace, there'd be no limit to its powers. The Supreme Court agreed, ruling, "The Solicitor General does not dispute that OSHA is limited to regulating work-related dangers." She instead argues that the risk of contracting COVID-19 qualifies as such a danger. We cannot agree. COVID-19 can and does spread at home, in schools, during sporting events, and everywhere else that people gather. That kind of universal risk is no different from the day-to-day dangers that all face from crime, air pollution, or any number of communicable diseases. Permitting OSHA to regulate the hazards of daily life simply because most Americans have jobs and face those same risks while on the clock would significantly expand OSHA's regulatory authority without clear congressional authorization. The Biden administration had argued that this was no different from a fire or sanitation regulation, but as the Supreme Court ruled, that's just dumb. A vaccine cannot be undone at the end of the workday. And while OSHA could regulate COVID risks that were specific to the occupation or the environment or other features of the job or workplace, they could not do so with a general risk of contracting a virus, any more than they could with influenza. For the same reason, in a separate case, they upheld the vaccine mandate for healthcare workers in facilities that take Medicare and Medicaid, since it directly related to their responsibilities. They ruled, "It is telling that OSHA, in its half-century of existence, has never before adopted a broad public health regulation of this kind, addressing a threat that is untethered in any causal sense from the workplace. This lack of historical precedent, coupled with the breadth of authority that the Secretary now claims, is a telling indication that the mandate extends beyond the agency's legitimate reach." Separation of powers exists for very good reasons. The last thing we should do is let an emergency or a panic abrogate it.